Okay folks, I'm here with the Fender Tone Master Pro. Today's question is, does it Brian May? Yes, it does. It Brian Mays quite very well. Now, let's have a little look about why this thing is kind of cool and where it kind of fits in the potential digital Brian May universe. It's extraordinarily expensive. Now, I would argue that for the price that it is, the software isn't quite there yet. Now, my own rig is based around Amplitude and Tone Master. My own rig is based around Amplitude and Tonex, and it has a Mac Mini in it, and an iPad and an interface, and it's not that dissimilar in cost, and you can do an awful lot more on an iPad and a Mac Mini, and even that rig is even more powerful and flexible. But this is still very, very cool, and the reason why it's very cool is that one of the problems that a lot of people that sort of reach out to me have with the digital stuff is putting it together and running it is a bit of an obstacle. There's an immense power in using digital, but for many people it's just a little bit out of reach because they're used to working with amps and pedals and just plugging it in and making it work. This does that. So its price is high, but what it saves you in time gives it good cause and pause to consider. So let's have a little look and see what I have going on, because what I'm doing here is a little bit not really traditional. So just to explain it, the back of the cab here, as you can see, I've got two pedals. I have my trusty Yonder Boss BC149 Treble Booster and I have a Z-Tone. And what's happening here is that there's an effects loop that works really well. I don't know how it works with the buffering. Maybe someone in Fender or someone who knows can let me know in the comments. But ordinarily, I would have to have the Treble Booster straight after the guitar. And when I perform live with the wireless, I have a strap-mounted one that goes before the wireless, and that's very important for just being able to have control over the clean sound by dimming and controlling the volume on the guitar. Don't really need it here, and that's very strange. So what's happening is the guitar is going into the Tone Master. It's being sent to the Treble Booster. The Treble Booster is passing on to the Z-Tone, and what I'm using the Z-Tone for is just to give it a little bit more gain, because I do find that the effects loop is tapping a little bit of the level. And I also, because I'm so used to the Z-Tone control, being able to control, you know, how it interacts with the preamp, the virtual amp, I'm using it as I would use my gig rig normally, which is a bit of the Z-Tone control up and the JFET preamp put in there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you what this sounds like without that. So I'm going to just turn off the boost. I'm going to turn off the effect of the pedals. So this is it without. And then this is it with the boost on. And with the JFET, now you probably won't hear a whole lot of difference, but I feel the differences. You don't need to do that. I want to do that. But the cool thing is that what I want to have happen does happen, because there's enough ins and outs in this thing to run any amount of rigs and gigs. And what's particularly cool about running the Treble Booster in an effects loop like that, and for it to still work like a Treble Booster would, is that if I don't need the Treble Booster, I can knock it off by changing a preset or knocking the effects loop out. Now that's extremely important, because some people are playing gigs where they do not play Queen for the whole gig. It's strange, but it's true. But there is, you know, sort of cause for some songs in the set that aren't Queen for some bands. And having a Treble Booster in line will stop you getting certain sounds, certain cleans, but now it becomes an optional thing that you can kick in and out depending if you need it. Or if you were in a really hi-fi Queen tribute band and you had different Treble Boosters from different eras, you could bring them in by using the effects loops. So you could actually change Treble Boosters. And we all know that Mary in the front row always wonders if you're using the correct Treble Booster for I Want to Break Free. maybe not. Let's have a look and see how it works. So the win here is how it saves time. What I've done here is I've created a preset, and it's a typical Brian May sound. It's got 2 Vox amps, chorus on one, and a little bit of delay for ambience and a little bit of room verb for ambience. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you what everything does. Treble booster is obviously key to this sound, but let's have a look at the delay. So the delay is just a little bit of fairy dust to make it sound a little bit nice, and I'm going to knock off it and the reverb. So that sounds absolutely fantastic. Now the reverb though, I do like to have reverb on a simulated Vox AC30 because the amp plays the room like an instrument. So if you have some sort of bounce back, it does soften a lot at the high end a bit. So it's very slight, but it's just doing something that I like it to do. And of course the delay is just to make everything sound epic. It's not for everyone, but if you listen to a lot of the live Queen recordings, there is a lot of delay added to the guitar afterwards, just to give it a bit of a boost. But the cool thing is that these are all options. Now every multi-effects pedal can do that, but what this one does that I really like is that it does it really fast. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to build up a patch from scratch before your very eyes so you can see what's going to happen. Now I'm going to leave these things out of that patch. I'm going to use the built-in treble booster, which is also very good, but we'll have a little look. So we'll just push on to a blank. Okay, so here's a blank preset. Now the first thing you might want to do, we'll go for the 2 amp setup, is whoops, excuse me. We'll go for the 2 amp setup. So we click on our settings. This is the first thing you can do, is you can set the path type, and you can mix, you know, the mic input, different inputs in different ways. But we're just going to go for a simple instrument parallel 1, and what that means is that we have a loop here where we can actually put in our 2 amps. So we'll start with our amps. So we'll start with our Vox AC30. So combo amps, and we'll come down. Okay, and the normal channel, of course, because the top boost doesn't quite cut it. Click on the amp and then volume up on full. There is a cut control on this. Now, I'm advised that we're best to leave that down, so we'll do that for now. Okay, and then we'll add another block, which is another Vox AC30, which will do the exact same thing too. Confirm, tap it again to edit it, volume up on full, cut down. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to need a treble booster. So click on effects, and you see they're all categorized so they can be found very quickly. Range or boost. And this is the old-fashioned booster that Brian would have used in the 70s and Roy Gallagher used. It's quite bright and brittle, and it's not actually the booster he used in later years, but it still works. Now, so we've got treble booster, 2 amps. That's pretty much it for the guts of the tone. But what we'll do real quickly is we'll click into the cab. And in the cab section, you can see we can choose where the mic goes and the type of speaker in the cabinet. Now, blue would be right. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the ribbon mic. Because what you may not know about ribbon mics is that they are designed to mimic how human ears hear the sound. And this is why they're absolutely rubbish for going into a PA with a guitar amp, but great for when you're trying to simulate that guitar amp at home. So now we've got 2 amps, a treble booster, and what I want now is just to simulate my room. So effects again and reverb, and I was using the large room reverb. Now it is a large room reverb, so it does sound a bit silly for this type of thing. So just bring the size of the room down, up the dampening, and down with the decay. So it's just a very slight reverb. So it sounds a bit like that. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this down a smidge. This seems to be quite loud, and we'll just go for the good old A chord. So that's a fairly credible Brian May sound. It's a bit bright, so if I go back to my microphone, you can see that's nearly on the cap of the speaker, which is where it's brightest, and it's a bit far away from it, but we'll put it up on the cone, and we'll do that for both amps. So click out and go into the next amp, cabinet, and yeah, something like that. So now I've got the 2 amps. Which sounds great. Now, in the 80s, Brian was using chorus, so we'll tap on a block behind one of the amps. We'll click on effects, Chorus is a modulation effect. Go for the actually JC chorus. I think this might be like the old chorus pedal that they used to use, the Boss one. And then I'm going to click on this mixer icon, and you can see that I have pan and level controls. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pan the chorus amp away from the middle, not all the way from the middle though, and I'll leave that one there, which is the dry amp. I'll just higher up its volume a little bit because I don't want too much chorus, just a blend of it. And out we go, and let's hear what that sounds like. Sounds very Brian May-like. Now, it is a bit bright, but that's the nature of the treble booster that we're using here. Now, if you don't want to buy a more authentic Brian May one, and if you're just messing around, what I'd advise you do is just turn down the level of the boost, because it is just a bright curve. And what we can do, watch this, add a block, add it after the treble booster, is just put a clean boost to just give more gain to the Range Master treble booster, maybe just 2 or 3 dB. And then it won't be as bright, and it'll be a bit closer to the real one. But the cool thing is that if you then decide, just kill that for a minute, to use a real treble booster, you can put it straight in the front, but I didn't get quite as good a result as if I was doing this. So then I click on the effects loop. It's in effects loop 1. I have a tap on that. Oh, excuse me. I shouldn't cancel that. Excuse me. Sorry, effects loop 1, confirm. You can hear straight away that my authentic treble booster chain is now in front. So it's really that simple. What this thing buys you is time. A lot of technology can be a bit of an obstacle to actually playing music, and unless you're kind of a digital native or you know what you're doing, you can spend an awful lot of time tweaking things. And even if you are, you know, technically minded, sometimes you just want to get in and play a guitar, and that's what I really like about this. I can do that. And the thing about it is that it's only really limited by your imagination, and it's fairly full featured. Now, would I gig with it? No. Why wouldn't I gig with it? Because my computer rig is just much more powerful. And I'm a bit of a weirdo and a control freak, and I have lots of things that I have to manage on stage these days, which includes numerous types of EQ and a lot of stuff to do with pitch shifting, which computers still excel at, and this thing doesn't quite have it yet. So I use a lot of polyphonic pitch shifting just to match key changes in songs. So the thing about it is, you could gig with it. It would work for 99% of people. Weirdos like me, probably not. And maybe in time it will, because the best thing about that is, the best thing about this particular unit is Fender invested in developing it. So yeah, it's great. Should you buy it? That's up to you. But does it Brian May? It certainly does.